again, friends. Welcome back to the www.plaid.avenger.com, where we just don't want to hear the news. No, we want to understand the news. And the news that's caught my fancy this week is a French proposed burqa ban. What? Why would the Plaid Avenger care about the French banning a certain article of Islamic clothing, which perhaps only 200 or 300 women in France even use? It is almost trivial. It sounds kind of goofy on the onset, but it's indicative of a much bigger thing going on across Europe that I want you to understand. And that is, this burqa ban is signifying a significant shift to the political right across Europe. Okay, let's get to it and do it. Burqa ban, significant shift to the right. Why? What? How can I possibly tie these things together? Because it's not just a French burqa ban. Many things are going on across Europe, and they have been for 5 to 10 years now, which are starting to all coalesce, come together at the same point in history right now in 2010, that now we can see, wow, some big things are happening across Europe. They are electing more center-right, if not extreme-right leadership. They're enacting a lot of kind of very conservative, if not ultra-conservative laws. And this is significant to understanding Europe, but the wider world of what's going on. Now, again, it's not just this French burqa ban. The French, for their part, banned the use of Islamic headscarves and burqas in public buildings and public schools and government institutions. They did that a while back. This is now proposing to ban the burqa in the entire country. You would not be able to wear it there. This is a country, France, of about 65 million folks. They do have about 5 or 6 million Muslim folks in their country. France has the biggest Islamic population in Europe. Now, it's been causing friction for some time, but it seems to be ramping up in today's world. For his part, French President Nicolas Sarkozy came out a couple weeks ago and said, "Oh, I support this ban on burqas because," and this is the full Islamic Muslim dress that someone would wear that covers their face, and Nicolas, because he's all about the ladies, he doesn't want to cover them up. Nicolas says, dudes, this thing is repressive to women. It's anti-French, it's anti-freedom, it's anti-human rights. We don't dig it. We're going to ban it. And on top of that, it's a security risk because there could be some terrorists underneath those burqas loaded up with dynamite that's going to go blow some stuff up. Those are all completely logical arguments. I'm not here to convince you one way or the other. I don't care one way or the other. I ain't French. I want you to get what's going on in the bigger picture here. So that's what the French are dealing with. And the French are being called Islam-o-phobic, perhaps, or anti-Islamic. But it's deeper than that. Because something else happened about 6 months ago in Switzerland. The Swiss banned the construction of minarets. How is that related? What? What is a minaret? The Swiss banned construction of minarets. These are these tall, kind of slender towers. It's Islamic architecture. It's a place where Islamic folks are called to prayer, okay? And the Swiss, for their part, to preserve their culture and preserve all things Swissiness, said, no more. We're going to ban you. No one can build any more minarets anywhere in Switzerland. Nationwide ban. And people are like, wow, I guess that must have been a big deal. It must have been a lot of minarets and a lot of Islamic influence. Yeah, right. There were 4. 4 in the entire country. And let's compare that to 4 minarets that the Swiss passed a law banning any construction new ones in Switzerland, and the French are going to ban the burqas, which may be worn by possibly 200 women. So again, you look at these numbers going, what's going on here? These are insignificant little things, but laws being passed against them. Again, both of these may be anti-Islamic, but not so, because the other point I want to bring up, the trifecta of troubles, is in Italy, head a little further south. And we have a lot of race riots occurring in Italy. A really huge one just a couple weeks ago, where a whole town basically was just lit on fire by race trouble, friction between different ethnicities, different races, different groups of people. Race riots in Rosarno. Rosarno is a small Italian town in Calabria. Calabria is the state on the boot, the tip of the boot of Italy. And this was a really bloody riots. It got so bad that the government essentially came in and evacuated all the immigrants. Now we're getting to a different group of people. These weren't Islamic people, these were West African immigrants. And Italy, with a population of about 60 million people, has about 5 to 6 million immigrants. Many of them illegal, some of them legal, but most of them from North Africa, West Africa, the Middle East, and even South Asia. And the Italian culture and the Italian people have been torn up debating this internally. There's lots of folks who despise these immigrants and despise their foreign influence. And that is what I'm talking about across Europe. It's happening within Italy. It's happening within Switzerland. It's happening within France. This is the bigger picture. I don't give a crap about a burqa, all right? And really, neither do the French. What's going on here is a big movement by, I'd say now, a majority of Europeans, mostly Western Europeans, but even Eastern Europeans, that are kind of rejecting foreign influence and foreign culture. Again, maybe it's specifically Islamic, but it's all of it. They don't want Islamic folks there. They don't want immigrants there. They're troubled because they're losing their Europeanness. You dig what I'm saying so far? That is what all of this is about. The Europeans, as a general rule, aren't having babies. I know, who doesn't want to have babies? But the locals in Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Italy, these folks have very low fertility rates, which means they only have on average 1 or 2 kids. And that's not enough to sustain a healthy population and to keep your population growing. Well, who cares? Who cares? Maybe the world's overpopulated anyways, too many people in Europe. Maybe they don't want to have more people. Actually, yes, they do. Because you have to have a kind of sustained or growing population for your workforce, to work the agricultural fields, to work in the factories, to pay taxes, and so you can use your taxes to pay people who are retired or on welfare. And European states are heavily in kind of social welfare. They got to have the people there working, and this is why foreigners, immigration, foreign influence is kind of a double-edged sword for the Europeans. They're not having babies. They have to have a workforce of people, an increasing workforce of people, to keep propping up the economy and keep things going. So they have to have immigration. There you go. That's what I wanted you to understand. They have to have immigration, and because it's been increasing in the last 10 to 20 to 30 years, this is now causing friction, cultural friction within Europe, and really within every European state, but mostly the southern states. Oh, why would I pick on the southern states? France, southern France in particular, Italy, Switzerland to a lesser degree, Spain. Why would these places specifically have more cultural friction going on with their peoples, between their peoples of perhaps foreign-born, foreign culture and local, say, French or Swiss or Italian culture? It's all about location, man, just like real estate. Europe is rich. We all know this. This is no big light bulb going off from the Plaid Avenger. Europe is rich, extremely well developed. If you looked at the EU as a singular entity, an economic entity, it's the richest single entity on planet Earth. That's right. The EU as a whole, as a singular whole, has a bigger GDP and more wealth than even the United States, the #1 economy on planet Earth. So it's rich, it's developed, it's awesome, and by the way, they have great human rights and laws protecting people, and think about location. It's right here, and poorer places are all around it. Poor North Africa, poorer Middle East, poorer Sub-Sahara Africa, even perhaps poorer South Asia. Europe is right there, and people can get to it. You have this wealth disparity action occurring that Europe is extremely rich and it's right beside kind of poor places. And that sets the stage for people to come to Europe. Much like Mexican immigration to the United States or Caribbean migration to the United States, we have poorer areas that want to go up to the rich developed economy. It's no surprises here. And it mostly affects the southern states that are closer to primarily North Africa. Africa as a whole, but primarily North Africa. Is this starting to make sense now? So all of these incidents that are occurring, burqa ban, minaret ban, race riots against immigration and immigrants in Italy, which is a really hot topic in Italy. They're the southern states, closer to North Africa, where people can just get on a boat for $500 and get smuggled into these countries and therefore can get into the rest of the EU.